Your sewing is trash, and I can tell you why. Your sewing is a little bit too homemade or too grandma-ish. As a self-taught designer, I made plenty of mistakes at sewing when growing up. But I've also learned how to fix them, improve them, and use them in my own designs. So in today's video, I am sharing 10 common mistakes that I've made. That way you can avoid them by making your own garments to be the next top-level luxury item. Because I am also sharing a bonus tip for all the self-taught fashion designers. It will completely change the way you approach on sewing. Let's get into it. So common mistake number one is cutting your fabric on the wrong grain line. So in fabric we have a warp and weft. Warp is parallel to the selvage edges of your fabric. Those tend to be the ones that run this way. And then you have warp, which is like the horizontal grains of your fabric. Just remember, warp is parallel and weft is horizontal. There's also a thing called the bias. So the bias is diagonal from one point of the fabric to the other. This is also used for people who are draping on a dress form. It gives enough stretch to the point where you can smoothly put the fabric on top of the dress form without no snagging, no bulkiness. Also, if you ever try to fold your fabric over and try to cut one fabric but two sides the same way, I will give an example, but if you ever do that, please align your fabric correctly with the warp and the weft, especially the selvage area. You could always tell by aligning it. A top tip that I know is if it's not aligned properly, take it by two of the bias and stretch it out. It should be able to align the warp and the weft correctly. Common mistake number two. Iron out all your seams. I have this problem. I am a lazy sewer when I want to be, and I don't always iron out all my seams. This helps me because there's not a lot of bulkiness in my fabrics, especially if I'm turning the fabric inside out. You won't see the bulkiness or feel the 1-inch seam allowance or the 1/2-inch seam allowance in my garments because they're always straightened out and it gives a seamless flat look. A tip on that, if you're ever working with thick material, especially like leather and denim, you don't want to iron it because I've done this before with leather. Ironing out leather will burn your fabric. So the way I do it is that I take an old handy hammer and I bang out the seam. But I bang out the seams so that way it lays flat for me to top stitch. Common mistake number three, adding seam allowance to all your seams. It might sound a little tedious or it'd be like, oh, it's not a big deal, it'll be fine. Trust me, this will make a huge difference in your garments when you add seam allowance to it, because you can always make a bigger garment smaller. You can never make a smaller garment bigger without either adding different types of fabric. Then it starts looking homemade when you start adding a polyester to a cotton or a wool to a leather. It starts looking like maybe she just cut this out of a whim, or it's not the correct garment or the correct fabric for this. The tip I would say for this, the safe number for making seam allowance is always 1/2 inch. Always work with 1/2 inch. You could always make your seam allowance bigger, but the common and base seam allowance measurement is always 1/2 inch. It's like a 1/2 inch all around your seams. Common mistake number four, using the wrong needle for specific fabrics. I can claim that I am a lazy self-taught designer. I don't always change my needles, but if you are that type of person who wants their garments well made professionally with no snags, no tearaways, no holes, please use the specific needle for your fabric. I've always looked at the box. You can always go to your nearest fabric store or your nearest craft store and look for sewing machine needles in little packets. They will literally list all of the different types of fabrics that is used for that specific needle. So you got universal, polyester, ballpoint, jersey, denim. If they have names on there, those needles are specifically used for the type of fabric. Top one, the higher the number it is, the thicker and more durable the fabric is, so you can use that needle for that specific fabric. But if it's a lower number, it's used for lightweight materials such as chiffon or lace or anything, so it won't snag on it. If you're ever sewing spandex, and a lot of people sew spandex but not knowing how to sew it correctly, one thing I would have to say is use a ballpoint needle. You could tell the difference. A universal needle is more pointy and a ballpoint needle literally is more rounded, so it's not as sharp. The reason for this is because you don't want to snag the material because it's so stretchy. Also, a lot of people have been saying that when they sew spandex, thread is always skipping or it can never stay in a consistent motion. One thing about it is that you also not only have to change your needle, you will also have to change the settings on your sewing machine. So I always go the length a little bit higher so that way it's not super tight on my fabric. Common mistake number 5, using the right thread for a specific fabric. I have this problem and I had to literally learn it from TikTok. Not only is a specific needle for a fabric, there's also specific threads for certain fabrics. For me, I work with a lot of stretchy materials, so I will have to find threads that give a little bit of a give, but not super tight to where if it was cotton material, I wouldn't have to worry about stretching. So I use cotton style thread or thicker thread for spandex, and every time I will pull on it, you can see the thread in it and you can hear it when you put it on snagging. I'm literally, it sounds like crackle and pop, like Rice Krispies putting on the top. So I've always changed my needle thread, I've always changed my needles, and I'm also using different threads for specific things. If it's for a regular project, just a whatnot project that I create for myself, I wouldn't really care as much. But if I'm designing a garment for a client, I will have to use the specific thread so that way it looks more professional and it won't snag or it won't tear when they wear it. Tip number 7, not washing your fabrics. I've learned this in school when one girl said that her fabrics are always coming out small because she would get the fabric, sew the garment, wear it a couple of times, and then when she begins to wash it with her regular clothes, it shrinks about 2 to 3 inches in the waist every time. And somebody told her, wash your fabric first and then sew your garment. The way that it is because when you wash it, the thread kind of loosens up, and then when you dry it, it constricts back. So how many times when you run your clothes through the washer or the dryer, especially the dryer, that some of your clothes do shrink when heat is connected to it? I think it's a lot of polyester blends that shrink the most. I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I know a lot of my polyester blend or polyester garments that I have also shrink as well. So whenever you get your fabric or whenever you get anything, wash your stuff, wash your fabric, all of them correctly. That way you get the correct sizing when you put the pattern on the fabric and it's not gonna shrink on you. Number 8, construction paper for pattern making. When I was first starting out, I didn't have access to pattern making paper, so what I used was newspapers. Nothing is wrong with newspapers. I've used newspapers, gift making wrap paper, I've used that. Paper is really good. You can go to Dollar Tree or any craft store. That brown construction paper that they use for folding or drawing for kindergartners, that has changed a lot for me. I've used that so much. Yes, now that I have access to actual construction paper at school, sometimes I'll be like, okay, I just want some at home, or I just want to get a couple and just be done with it. So I go to Dollar Tree and they have a roll in there for $1.75 or $2. You know how Dollar Tree is. But I would go in there and I would get a couple of rolls. That way it saves me for the rest of the school year. And that lasts me for the school year. Trust me. Mistake number 9. Practice straight lines on your machine. I would reference this as a designer would look at a piece of painting or a drawing that they do, and to get them warmed up a little bit, it's more of, oh, let me do a couple of sketches to get my hand warmed up for it. Or if an athlete is about to go do their thing, like a cheerleader, they would stretch, warm up, tumbling, conditioning, more stretches. They will warm up before they do the actual thing. If you're a first-time designer or a first-time sewing machine owner, I would practice my straight lines. This has saved me so much time because I was so scared with the machine. It also helps you when you're learning a machine. You're still trying to get the kinks out of. If you bought a new home machine, yes, you got to work with it a little bit. So I guess running straight lines through the machine would help. What I do is I take a piece of paper or construction paper, like thick paper, I would say craft paper, construction paper, and I would draw 1-inch straight lines down the paper. And then I would use any old thread or any thread that I don't care about using, or any needle that I don't care about using. I would literally sew straight lines through that paper every time. When I was first learning how to use the sewing machine, I would run the sewing machine. I would literally run the paper through the sewing machine a couple of times till I got the hang of how fast my machine was going, how slow do I want it, what's the tension, what are the different tensions on my sewing machine, what kind of designs can I make on this machine. That's how I worked with the machine while I go, basically. So learning how to do straight lines would save you big time. And common mistake number 10, and I would hope every designer would know this, please stop using your fabric scissors for cutting paper. There is a difference. This is why so many designers have 4 to 5 pairs of scissors, because they use them for specific things. You can't just say, oh, she'll let me cut my paper with it. No, she probably didn't let you cut it with paper. She thought you were cutting it with fabric. It doles out the blade in the scissors. Don't get me wrong, I have really good scissors. So I got this from a fabric store in Atlanta. These have been with me since day one. My grandmother bought them for me, thank you grandma. Have lasted me for years. I think I got these 3 or 4 years ago and they're still working, still sharp. The only reason why is because I only cut fabric with these scissors. I don't want to cut my material, so I use little tiny thread cutters for that. But as of right now, I have 4 pairs of scissors. I got my tailoring scissors, 2 pattern cutting scissors, and then 1 cutting thread cutter. So invest in some really good scissors because it will go along. Trust me, you will have that one girl in class who was like, can I borrow your scissors, and mistakenly use your fabric scissors for cutting her paper. Yes. I think for tips of what I'd use, I learned this in class. If your scissors are ever coming out dull, I would get aluminum foil, fold it really good to where it's thick, and just cut strips out of it with your tailoring scissors, because what that helps, the aluminum would sharpen your blade itself. You can always get, what is it called, like that, those sharpeners that you would get from Joann's or Hobby Lobby and whatnot, those scissors that, it's some brain part, it's that blade sharpener that you be seeing. You know what I'm talking about. You can always get those, but if you want to be cheap like me, or you just don't have time to get it and there's no point, get you some aluminum foil. It's literally like $1 at Dollar Tree. Get a whole bunch of that and just keep it in your sewing kit. That's what I do. And this is my top bonus tip. If you stay to the end, please comment on what you think. I'm trying to record more videos like this for y'all, for anybody who's learning how to sew. So comment down below what struggles you have and what common mistakes you're making. My last tip, my bonus tip, is patience is a virtue. A lot of people are not patient. Don't get me wrong, I am not a patient person. I'm a fast-paced girl. I want things moving. I want to go fast. I can't sit there and ask questions. No, I'm going to do it. But I have to learn, especially in this field, that patience is a virtue. Yes, there will be some fast-paced things there, but I've learned to be patient with the garments that I'm making. It's not just something that I create in the kitchen and be like, oh, I'm done, have it, whatever, see if they like it. You take pride in that. Somebody takes pride in making food for their husband or making food for their family or boyfriend or whatnot. They take pride in that, so they take their time, make sure everything's good. Life's so much easier knowing you took your time, you took patience, you took your time to look at every detail in this garment to say, yes, this is something I'm very proud of making. Also, being in a calm environment, being in a fast-paced environment can make you rethink things like, oh, I'm going too slow, maybe I should pick up the pace, or I don't have time for this, I can't put it on there because it's going to take too long, I just got to hurry up. Stay in a calm space. What I do, I listen to music or I listen to a podcast. Something that's going to calm me is basically, music is my dopamine. I will listen to music while I sew because it passes up the time and it feels like I'm not rushing myself. So putting on music or talking to a friend or just being in the moment, yes, I will take my time and patience on. Just taking that appreciation and that vintage of your work. You created something out of your mind, literally your mind, and you're putting it on a model or somebody. Take appreciation of that. Another tip is go outside, get some air, get a snack, go talk on the phone, doom scroll if you need to. I feel like coming back with fresh eyes makes you think of details and think of things that you wouldn't think of in that moment. I was very impatient. I need to get this drawing done. I need to get it done because I need a grade. But my teacher has taught me always step back from your canvas. Always step back every 5 minutes, look at it, appreciate it, see what's wrong with it, see what you could do with it, add some things, take some things out, because you can't really do anything when you're that close, when you're super close to the canvas, because you're looking at very small details, but you're not looking at the big picture. Look at the big picture first. So I always walk away from my drawings or walk away from my garment, take a break, just chill for a minute, maybe watch 1 or 2 episodes of Project Runway. If y'all watching the new season, let me know. Comment down below what episode y'all on. And then when you come back, you will be like, I'm doing good. I can actually put this on there, or I can take this off, or oh, I can add this to it. It makes you rethink what your work would look like in different Making mistakes is what a designer is. That's how you become a designer. You can't become a designer and not make mistakes. Nothing is perfect. It can be perfect in your eyes, but at the end of the day, there's always mistakes. You just got to learn to take them, grow with them, make progressions with them, see what you can make out of that mistakes and make it better. The key is to learn from your mistakes, practice your mistakes, and improve your mistakes. Alright guys, so those are my top sewing mistakes that I've made as a self-taught designer, and I am learning to improve them over the years as being self-taught. I hope you learned something in this video. I hope you take these common mistakes and tips and tricks and put them into your own wardrobe and your own collection. If you like this video, please comment and subscribe, and also turn on post notifications so you don't miss another video. And please comment down below what type of mistakes that you've made as a designer and what have you done to improve, so that way others can see it and try to improve on their garments as well. So I will see y'all in the next video. Bye guys.